Hello, my name's Lotty, and along with my husband Andy and a whole family of robots called the Berts, we live in a little cottage in Shropshire. All the Berts are made by Andy, and they're made from bits and pieces that other people would throw away and would think would be scrap. But actually, we use our imagination and make robots from them. I write their stories, and they've all got really interesting characters. The most interesting one of all is Weebert, because whenever he is bored, he has an adventure. And Weebert is made, well, his head is actually an old Cold War spy camera, and his eyes are made from opera glasses, and he has a tangle of copper wire for hair, and he's no bigger than a can of beans. Now, he has lots of adventures, and they all start with him being bored. So I think perhaps you'd like to hear a story all about how Weebert got his wheels. Weebert stood in the middle of the table, eyebrows wiggling, copper hair drooping. The workshop was quiet. Not a broken quiet, a boring quiet, the worst kind. The kitchen table was set up just how he liked it. A set of tiny engineer's wooden drawers filled with broken watch bits, curled springs, clunky gears, and mysterious screws. An old pencil, tools with wooden handles, and a dusty old loom shuttle that hadn't moved in years. "I'm bored," said Weebert. "So bored I could count cogs." He did. 1, 2, nope, bored again. Weebert wasn't bad at being bored. In fact, he was very good at it. He had a head made from a Cold War spy camera, eyes made from opera glass lenses, and a wild tangle of copper wire for hair. His job, according to Weebert, was to spot exciting things before anyone else did. But today there were no sparkles, no bangs, no whizzes, just one very still, very tidy table. "I've squashed the springs, I've spun the washers, I've even asked the compass if it wanted to dance. It said no." He looked at the old loom shuttle in the corner. "I could build something," he said suddenly. "Yes, I could make my own Autobert." He grabbed a spool, a washer, and a spring. He stacked them. He tied them together with a twist of copper. He balanced a bolt on top. It wibbled and it wobbled and it fell over with a dramatic splonk. Weebert sighed. "Well, I tried." He kicked a washer. It rolled across the table and tapped the loom shuttle. Then he heard it. Not a zoom, not a zing, but a hum. Weebert turned. Rolling slowly, gracefully across the table came the most spectacular thing he had ever seen. An Autobert, built from a charred, polished loom shuttle with black Meccano wheels, a suitcase tin box on the back, and a silvery shimmer down the sides. Golden cylinder heads adorned the bonnet, and on the front are 2 tiny headlights, just like eyes. She wasn't fast. She wasn't loud. She was steady. She was proud. Weebert stood still and watched every single detail. His eyes sparkled. "Wow," he whispered. "Who are you?" The Autobert beeped. Then, in a voice like an old wind-up radio, she said, "I'm Fuzzbert." Weebert gasped. "Fuzzbert? That's the best name I've ever heard." Fuzzbert gave a friendly wiggle. And Weebert said, I want one. I need one. I must have an Autobert. Just then, with a shimmer of cold air and a glint of golden light, Albert appeared, standing right on the table. Not from a drawer, not from behind a bolt. He was just there. He had a big brass compass for a body, shiny opera glasses for his eyes, and he held a magic pocket watch that ticked backwards. He shivered lightly, as if he'd just time-travelled through an ice lolly. Did someone say must have an Autobert? Weebert jumped. Albert, you're just in time. I usually am, said Albert. I want an Autobert, one like Fuzzbert, but mine, just for me, with bonky eyes and wheels that whiz and eyes that shine. I want one, I need one, I must have an Autobert. Albert looked around the workshop. Well then, we'll need the maker. But he won't build something out of nothing. You'll need to find the parts. That's how it works. Weebert stood tall. I'll do it! Albert smiled. 3 pieces, 3 challenges. That's the way of the Berts. Challenge 1. The copper curl. A single curl of copper wire lay tangled in a drawer labelled "Too Twisty." Weebert reached in, but the wire kept bouncing out. He tried again and again and again. He stopped. Time to think like a Bert. He flattened it gently, using the little hammer on his chest. He whispered kindly to it and rolled it up like a spaghetti on a fork. Success. Curl secured. I want one. I need one. I must have an Autobert. Challenge 2. The opera glass lens eyes. Where are the lenses? Weebert asked. Albert pointed to the top of the drawer stack, very high up. Weebert built a tower from boxes and bolts. He wobbled to the top and grabbed the opera glasses, just as the whole tower tumbled down. He jumped, landing in a cotton wool cushion. Lenses safe, he squeaked. I want one. I need one. I must have an Autobert. Challenge 3. The Bumble Ready Body. There's only one loom shuttle ready to be built, said Albert. And there it was, already painted yellow. It sat high on the maker's shelf, glowing like a honeybee in the sun. But it was stuck. I mean, really stuck. Weebert tugged. No good. He tapped it. No movement. He gave it a compliment. You're the best, brightest, bravest shuttle on this table. It worked. It popped free. I want one. I need one. I must have an Autobert. Albert nodded. You're ready. The maker's hands reached across the table. He took the copper curl, the lenses, the painted shuttle, a set of vintage trolley wheels, the spy camera, and some clock parts. Clink, clonk, clickety-clack, twist, tighten, tip-tap, ping, zing, boing! And then the maker pressed a tiny button inside. The Autobert wiggled his eyebrows. He rolled forward. He looked at Weebert and smiled. Weebert stared. Then he smiled. Then he beamed. "He's like me," he whispered. He leaned in close. The Autobert wiggled its eyebrows again, just like Weebert's. "I wanted one. I needed one. I had to have an Autobert. But he's not just any Autobert. He's mine. I shall call you Bumblebert." He shouted it again. "Bumblebert!" Albert clapped. Fuzzbert beeped and spun in a circle. The drawers rattled with applause. Weebert climbed into the seat. It fit perfectly, just like it was made for him. He pressed the button. Bumblebert beeped. Bumblebert wiggled. Bumblebert zoomed. Fuzzbert zoomed beside them. "Race you to the pencil!" They flew around a screwdriver, zipped past the copper pot, and looped around the lens jar. Weebert laughed so loudly a spring popped off a shelf and bounced with joy. "Zoom, zoom, honk! Best day ever!" Then he whispered, just to Bumblebert, "You and me, we're going to have so many adventures." The table was the same. Drawers, springs, tools, pencils. But now it was their table, and this was just the beginning. I hope you enjoyed that story. Perhaps you'd like to think about what adventures Weebert and Bumblebert could have next. See you next time.